Hey guys, Omni here. We don't do this too often, but when Honest Trailers picks up something that is just a little close to home, I have to check it out. And I want to give my input on it, especially since there's news of said thing coming back with the original cast that I hadn't had the time to make a video about it whatsoever up until this point, but we'll talk about it a little bit. But of course, this is for one of my favorite horror franchises of all time. Not my favorite, but close, is Scream. The Honest Trailers from Screen Junkies for the movie Scream. I don't know if this is the franchise or if this is just going to be the first movie. It's 5 minutes and 46 seconds. I would assume probably the whole franchise, but you never know. So I wanted to share this with you guys. We could react to it, have some fun. And then I wanted to talk about some of the new news that has been coming out the past couple weeks that I just haven't found the time to make a video about it. So we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and check out this video.
The following trailer is rated S24M. Spoilers for a 24-year-old movie.
I guess just the first movie.
This episode is sponsored by Google Play with the help of Brawlhalla. From the man whose mere name conjures up visions of horror, except for that one Meryl Streep movie he made,
That's enough, thank you.
comes the maestro's meta deconstruction of the horror genre.
There was no movie.
Dude,
There was only
New Nightmare was so good.
The maestro's second meta deconstruction of the horror genre. The good one.
Oh, come on. New Nightmare is good.
Return to a simpler time when people left all of their doors unlocked. No one had cell phones.
What are you doing with
Yeah.
cellular telephone?
I mean,
True
I
crime
remember that.
podcasts were books.
Your mother's murder was last year's hottest court case. Somebody was gonna write a book about it.
And without Twitter, movie dorks had to get creative when it came to harassing women.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, was the original killer. Wrong answer.
Ghostface, the original gatekeeper.
If a movie were made today, the mask would be an anime avatar. Meet Sydney. The virgin is virgin, whoever virgined.
I thought maybe we could do a little on top of the clothes stuff.
But
This
arguably
innocent
the
girl
best
is
final
cursed
girl.
with the worst social group of all time. There's Tatas.
Oh my God. I forgot about how bad that was. Oh, dude, Matthew Lillard is
Me?
underrated as all hell.
Way scarier stuff off camera than on. Billy, a big Johnny Depp enthusiast. This Screen Junkies fan.
Obviously, they don't watch enough movies. This is standard horror movie stuff. There's a formula to it. A very simple formula.
This Cox.
When I say hurry, please interpret that as move your fat tub of lard ass now!
And Stu, a guy who does some of the most upsetting mouth stuff in horror since Ichi the Killer.
It was fun.
Dude, I fucking love Stu, man.
Yeah. You know, come to think of it, everyone at this school is a monster.
Fairness would be to rip your insides out. We found Principal Henry gutted and hung from the goalpost.
Let's go over there before they pry him down.
Hey!
Except the cop. Weirdly, he's the only cool one.
You're underage, son. I'm kidding. Have a good time.
Suit up with a slasher who's all killer, no filler. Because while some horror icons spend their time talking trash or doing spooky vanishing acts, this Ghostface killer just bought the first mask they saw on the way to school,
We sell this costume every five
Yeah.
dime to the state.
giving you no safe spaces as he stalks you all over town, from the shrubbery outside of your own house to the ladies' room
I love that one.
to the grocery store in broad daylight.
We have a slasher on aisle 4.
Oh fuck, I never noticed that.
Night first, without a plan beyond stabby stabby. You gotta respect the hustle, even if everyone is constantly beating the crap out of him.
That's what I love about it too. Like, Ghostface is a person. Like, and they're just bad at what they do. They still get there eventually most of the time, but like, it's a real threat. He's not supernatural, he's just as fallible as the protagonist.
So heat up some Jiffy Pop.
But he
and revisit the classic that's
always
packed
puts
full
some
of
too
nods to
too
other
too much
horror
momentum
movies.
into that knife, though.
And when they can't think of a nod, they just say the name of a horror movie you like out loud.
The Exorcist was on.
It's the town that dreaded sundown.
How many Hellraisers?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Silence of the Lambs.
Terror Train.
The Howling.
Psycho.
Friday the 13th.
Prom Night.
Candy.
Oh, are all so good.
What movie is this from? I spit on your garage.
In this innovative slasher that rescued a genre that was drowning in bad sequels and remakes, only to eventually drown in its own sequels and remakes.
There it is,
Still,
5.
It not only saved horror at the time, it managed to kill off the spoof movie too.
Do you like spoofy movies? You should see how we pee.
The only two I liked were Scary Movie 1 and Scary Movie
Who your
2.
mom did last summer. Never been killed. I'll be there for you when the blood starts to pour. Oh, skeet skeet, Mr. Ulrich. In the garage, I feel safe. Mountain Dewy. Like zoinks. Am I a Slice Principles.
That was a good one.
And Mark Wahlberg talks to animals.
Say hello to your mother.
Okay, donkey.
Scary movie. What? That's what they were actually gonna call it.
Yeah, that's a fact.
You know what's really the scariest part of the movie? This cheerleader who takes a dump, then sticks her finger in her mouth without washing her hands. This episode is sponsored by Google Play.
Oh, okay.
Discover more on Google Play now.
All right. That's a bad point. I love the Scream franchise, man. I do. Even for all of its faults, I still enjoy Scream 3. And I like Scream 4 more than apparently a lot of people. Scream 2, I think, is my favorite of them. I love the first one so much. Like, it can go a toss-up anytime, man. My order is 100% Scream 2, Scream 1, Scream 4, Scream 3. And there's like a very huge gap, in my opinion, of the quality between the top 3 and then Scream 3. But I still enjoy it. Scream 3 just has a lot of issues. But what we haven't talked about is Scream 5, which they brought up in this. And I'll defend Scream and its approach to the sequels. In and of itself, the first movie, while being a fairly competent stab slasher horror movie, was a commentary on the horror slasher genre at the time. The tropes, of course, the rules of the horror movie, as brought up by Randy while they're all listening to Halloween. Which honestly is a great way they play that off. That whole scene when Halloween is playing in the background of the party, the music, the way that it plays and edits with the timing of what's happening in the set itself, it's just masterfully done. The whole team's coming back. The whole team so far that we know of, at least. David Arquette's coming back. Courtney Cox is coming back. Neve Campbell just confirmed she's coming back. And honestly, that's really... And we got some new faces coming. I can't remember all the names for the people who are new to joining the franchise. They're going to be showing up in Scream 5, but the main 3, the main ones that have survived the previous movies, and I forgot the female deputy from 4, also confirmed to be coming back. Though I think it's going to be, there's a vast difference between the last time we saw Courtney Cox in Scream 4 to now. So I'm curious how that's all going to play off. And again, how it's going to play off whenever the Friends reunion finally kicks back in. There's going to be some questions about that because there's definitely been a lot of work that has been happening there. But I like that about it. But what I was getting at, defending Scream and its sequels. While the first one was definitely a commentary and a parody and a satire on this meta commentary on the slasher genre, on the horror genre as a whole, and the tropes associated with it, I like the meta way that they continued with Scream 2, playing on the inevitable rules of the sequel, how it tries to one-up the previous one, it tries to up the ante, more scares, more stabs, more blood, more gore, more killers. And then 3, playing on the general feel and tropes of the trilogy, bringing it in, the surprise twist that you didn't know from the past, all the different elements of the whole like concept of horror trilogies and just trilogies in general, really, and playing around with that. I like that 4 played around with the reboot by trying to do the same thing again. The new killer's trying to kind of recapture the old, but when we kind of more like along the lines of like the Rob Zombie Halloween remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be more intense. It's going to be more visceral. It's going to be more grounded. You got like the found footage element of it. It's like the killer's going to do things live. There's going to be more blood. It's going to be more intense, painful, hard hitting than before. And the idea of her cousin, of course, I won't get into it too much. I won't spoil it. Never mind. I'm not going to spoil anything. But the idea of like rebooting it with the new heroine and everything like that and trying to go around with it. But I love the way it ends. And what I don't know is I feel like they've kind of touched on everything that's been happening within the horror genre for the most part. I mean, they touched on found footage. They kind of touched on the torture porn aspect of certain things with 4 as well. Some things they kind of missed on in the between. Of course, we have the sequel, the trilogy commentary. The only thing that I'm not sure that, I mean, of course, they haven't gone supernatural because that would completely break the reality of that's been set up in this world. The only thing that, and I've talked about this with Rejects before, is like, I don't know what they're going to do next. And the only thing I can think of that's been happening in the horror genre lately has been these rebootquels where we're gonna reset back to a point and then retcon everything that happened after that. You know, like with Halloween, they decided to retcon all of the sequels after 1 and make a sequel directly to 1, which ignores everything else that's happened after that. Though I don't know how you would institute that. And of course, you saw that with Terminator as well. And I'm sure there's some others I can't think about at the moment that have also done something similar to that. Of course, Halloween has done that multiple times within itself. It has literally 3 separate timelines now. The Halloween multiverse. But you know, I don't know how you, with the kind of continuity that's been created in Scream, I don't know how you also do that with the same cast. You know, I could understand that if they did it with a different cast, but I don't know how you go back and make a commentary on the fact that they're kind of re-editing things unless they go back and they're like, oh, everything from Scream 2 onward, everything you found out, everything you knew there was actually a lie. Something else happened between Cotton Weary and Sydney's mother. It just rewrites the whole thing, and then we pick off from that storyline going forward off of that. I don't know how they do it. But the movie's coming from the directing pair that did Ready or Not, and I really enjoyed that movie. So I have some hope that with the original cast coming back, some new faces that are being added to it, as well as their kind of meta vision, because I thought Ready or Not had a really fun kind of energy to it. While it was a really kind of messed up movie, the tone of itself was really fun, energized, and lighthearted, despite all the messed up stuff that was happening. It was a blast to watch, and I would like to, I think that's a good pair to bring into to handle the Scream franchise, you know, without Wes Craven. And whether or not you thought he did justice with 4 or however it went out after the first 2, I don't know. If they're going to keep it going, I think it's a fun pair to at least see what they can do with it. It's going to be a little bit of, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be interesting to check out in the least. And see how they comment on more modern thrillers or horror films. The slasher genre is kind of taking its like what's the word I'm looking for? Damn. Just pushed off to the side here for a while. We've been getting a lot of psychological stuff. We're getting a lot of supernatural films here lately. I think the last real big slasher thing that I can think of was the Halloween reboot, Halloween 2018. Honestly, not a whole lot's coming to mind. I mean, we have stuff like Don't Breathe. Of course, The Strangers, I think, has come out since then. I don't know. It's mostly been supernatural stuff that, at least that's coming to mind. Refresh my memory, if you will. But I don't know. I'm excited. I mean, who knows? We'll see how it turns out, but I'm just like, it can't be as bad as 3. But who knows? It very well could be. What do you guys think? Do you think we need a Scream 5, or do you think 4 was already pushing it too much? What's your favorite Scream movie? What's your favorite scary movie? Sound off the comments. We can carry on the conversation after the video, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll catch you all next time. Take care, everybody.